Yes.
Easy going right there. One more to go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Online Racing League ORL for round number 5 of the season and our first entry into Europe at the Belgium Grand Prix. Apologies for a little bit of the lateness, a few game issues happening to the best of us, but we're now back all ready to go for the Belgium Grand Prix. My name is Joshua Davis, of course, on your commentary lead once again, and joined by Joanna Brito. Joanna, how are we doing?
Hi, Joshua. Hi, everyone at home. Welcome to Belgium. Welcome to the 5th round of our season, and of course one of the longest track that we will have on the calendar. So looking forward, quite a few new names as well tonight. So looking forward to what they can show us.
Absolutely. So we are going to jump straight into qualifying as we see. We'll have a look at our faces in a little bit of a while. We're about 1 minute in to qualifying so far. We've got Yoni Dobson currently on board today, reserving in for the Alfa Romeo squad tonight. 14 minutes, as we said, 15 minutes still left in qualifying, so we're still fairly new into it on his intermediate run into a 30.4 in Sector 1. Just a little bit of a roundup of the championship as well. It is still Ismail Fassi leading the way by 9 points, obviously having that really torrid Azerbaijan Grand Prix that he was treated to 2 weeks ago. Definitely did hinder his chances, but as you can see there, currently in P5, Danny Berezne back on charge from his F1 Esports duties, of course, for Alfa Romeo, and did a very sterling job for them this season, of course. And coming back, obviously, a 9-point advantage. Ismail Fassi is not here tonight. He's doing a land tournament somewhere in Spain, so massive good luck to him. Yeah, Danny Berezne coming back on a charge. and a 9-point deficit. Not it was a pretty straightforward answer for Danny Berezne. Well, for the likes of Danny Berezne anyway, can definitely get that wrapped up tonight. We'll get the championship lead wrapped up tonight going in towards the next rounds. Currently riding on board, as we've just said, with Jone Dolfsen. A little bit of a scruffy lap though, but obviously on the intermediates, probably something you're probably used to. We'll stay on board with him for the round of the lap. A little bit wide out of that final couple of corners into sector 3, into the bus stop chicane. Big braking zone onto the right, on towards the left, and around the final corner comes Jone Dolfsen into the final corner and across the line, and it is our first time on the board on a 150.650. We're going to get way quicker than that throughout the session. Gregory Belatti also on a lap as well, coming back for AlphaTauri. Thiago Costa coming in for McLaren as well. It's a full Portuguese lineup, I think, there, Joanna, with Nelson Alves and Thiago Costa.
Yeah, and let's not forget Diogo Moraes in the Aston Martin, but for the McLaren will be taking the red and green from Portugal. Obviously, let's see what the three guys can show us tonight. But of course, Danny Berezne wants to take back the championship lead, as you've mentioned, and what a better track to do it than on his favorite track.
Yeah, absolutely. So he has stated before, it is one of his favourites. Prelati puts it on pole, 43.419. As yeah, definitely, we've said Danny's shared the stage at Belgium a number of times. Andres Lopez just beats Gregory Belatti to a 43.271 with the Mercedes. But yeah, going back to Danny there, definitely one of his favourite tracks. He's stated that is his favourite track on the game. Obviously in F1 Esports as well. He's done very well in those races. I believe he won it in 2018, the Belgian Grand Prix there. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but he definitely shared the stage with a lot of the big guns out there, and definitely one of his favourites. Jeremy Glenn just going there to a 43.218, so we're getting low into the 43s. And we'll go back to the action. Thiago Costa, we're currently running on board with him now. Currently in P5, his teammate Nelson Alves had a brilliant qualifying session last time, but just got caught up in a few incidences of his own, left in plummeting down the order. Really unfortunate for him, but obviously bigger track is Belgium, more overtaking opportunities, more space, and definitely can get himself up the order when he needs to do so. Got top 5 last time around, so can definitely prove himself a little bit more. As Thiago Costa puts it into P4 with a 43.455. Just trying to see where everyone is at the moment. Samuel Bean is on his intermediate lap time at the moment for the Aston Martin machine. As he comes into the bus stop chicane, hop on towards the right, hop on towards the left. He's not going to go to the left. He's going to pull into the pit lane, so doesn't decide to carry with his intermediate lap. And why should he? Jerry Van Bussel, one of the new drivers into the ORL season. He makes his debut tonight this season for the Mercedes team, for the Silent Factory Esports team, of course, which is his TF little banner on the left-hand side. Let's see what he can do. We'll ride on board with the Dutchman this lap as he comes towards Blanchemont. Not Blanchemont, where am I talking about? Down the Eau Rouge and in towards the back straight, onto the right, on towards the left, into the second right, flowing round and onto the curve. Nicely taken there. Comes Jerry in towards a right-hander and then into No Name of the left-hand side, carrying it very well into 4th gear, flicking the car onto the left-hand side, losing so much of the track. And has he invalidated there? It might be, but he's gone very wide. Do correct me if I'm wrong, Joanna. And into a very fast one, probably one of the fastest tracks, fastest corners in the F1 calendar. So aggressive on the driver's necks in real life, carrying about 5 Gs through that corner alone, but you have to keep it right if you want to keep the lap. And once again, got a little bit wide is Van Bussel in towards the curbs. And yeah, it is invalidated. Did look like it, as track limits there was getting a little bit tasty for Van Bussel, but he'll have to go again. Looked pretty good for the most of it, but on that occasion, it's not going to account for track limit warnings. Jakob Rosetsu, though, is on the lap as well, and going very wide again into No Name. Might be an invalidation as well. We'll have to check that on things. In towards Pilon there. Nicely taken so far. See full flats in towards the last couple of sectors of Sector 2. The number 40 of the Williams got the podium last time around at Belgium. Wasn't feeling confident in the post-race interviews last time, but looking at his lap so far in Sector 2, doesn't look half bad. Into Sector 3, then down towards the back straight, in towards the bus stop chicane. Here we go then. Jakub Brzezinski, what's he got? He's got a Ferrari just in front of him at the moment. Should not be a problem for the Poland driver. And into the final couple of corners then, big braking zones we just mentioned. Into the bus stop chicane, big braking there, about 100 metres. You want to be braking in towards the right, hop on towards the left. He's not going to take the left. He's going to peel into the pit lane. Doesn't think it's correct, or might just be an invalidation.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Nelson can do tonight. He had a pretty decent qualification session last time around, not last week. But he told me that he was not happy with that lap and that he thought he might have gone for pole position. So let's see what he can show us tonight. Of course, him as well as other reserves might have not put as much time on the track as our regular drivers, since at least regulars they know they will be racing all the time. But yeah, he's now finishing the second sector with a 1:14.6. Let's see where that will put him at the end of the lap. So far, his teammate has a 1:43.4, quite close to Gregory Balati, with of course Diogo Moraes in P2, in the middle of Jeremy and Andres Lopez. Well, and Jeffrey jumps for P1, the Ferrari tonight. Interesting to see the times getting
Yeah, absolutely. And about 7 tenths quicker, almost a little bit more than Jeremy. But Nelson Alves usually jumps into a 42.914. Lillian puts it into a 42.8. And yeah, as we just said, Jeffrey Ritchie into the 42.5s then. Very, very big achievement there for Jeffrey as he comes in to the season for Ferrari. And yeah, brilliant lap time there, and gets about 3 tenths off Lilian Dubravko, who's been really, really good this season. I've been really, really impressed with the Red Bull driver. Definitely been picking it up with the big boys, as Chanakinchi, the championship aspiration driver, into the top two once again at a 42.517, only a couple of thousandths slower than Jeffrey Ritchie. Obviously, we know the speed of Jeffrey Ritchie in other leagues, and of course in ORL as well, has been very, very good all the way through, and can definitely put himself up with the big boys. But speaking of big boys, Danny Bereznik is starting his first flying lap in the session now. We wind on boards with the F1 Esports driver in Alfa Romeo in towards the last couple of corners of sector 1, and into sector 2 we go. Riding it very, very nice on towards the curves, into the right-hander, big braking pretty much as you enter the curb, and into the long right-hander, into no name of a flick of the wrist into the left. Nicely taken into 5th gear, riding the curves, a little bit of a snap back to the car. And that is an invalidation. Yeah, just going a little bit too wide. The car just disagreeing with you there in the left-hand side. And that is an invalidation for Danny Bereznik. He's going to have to go for another lap. He's got 5 minutes to do so. And he's going to have to go pretty quickly into the pit lane to try and get a new set, unless he's going to try and go for one more on the same one. But obviously fuel comes into that one as well. Jerry Van Boussaert currently...
Sam Obin just jumped to P3, so it's nice to have him, the Spaniard, of course, for Aston Martin this season, and of course that third place so far, good indication from the driver.
Yep, Samuel Bean up into P3, 2 tenths off the leaders there of Jeffrey Ritchie and Chanakinchi, of course. We'll flick on over to Jerry Van Boussaert. If he's kept his lap time clean, we'll have a look if he has or not. Yes, he has for the time being. As he makes his way into Sector 2 and into Sector 3. And a pretty tasty pretty tasty last lap after all the track limit warnings. But he's kept it clean this time around, and it's looking pretty decent once again. Into the final couple of corners of Sector 3 and into the bus stop chicane once again. Flying towards the last left-handers of Blanchimont once again, on towards the curbs, lining it up towards the bus stop, braking very, very hard just after the 100, about 80 metres. You want to be braking, flicking the left on the left and on towards the right, and across the line for Jerry Van Boussaert. Where's he going to put that Mercedes car? He's going to put it into P6 with 42.931. 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the session. Tony Roche, Danny Bereznik and Jakub Brzezinski yet to get a lap time on the board. I'm going to flick over to Jakub Brzezinski right now. He's currently in Sector 3 for Williams. What can he do on this lap is the question. 4 minutes left to go in the session, as we've just mentioned. and probably looking likely is going to be a low 43 is probably what's going to get you into qualifying to maybe a high 42.9 as well. We'll see what the improvements are like. Jakob Rosetsu is going to cross the line now and goes into P7, 42.936. That will do nicely, and about 5 thousandths off Jerry Van Butel in P6. So not a bad lap there from Jakob Rosetsu, and probably take that one on board. Yoni Dobson is 4 tenths up at the moment in the other Alfa Romeo car as he makes his way towards sector 2. 4 seconds up now on his time. He was on the intermediates. His only set time was on the intermediates, that 48.646. He's going to be in about the 44s at the moment, which is only going to be enough to beat Robbie Van at the moment, and he's currently in P17. We'll see what he can do into the final couple of corners, into the bus stop chicane, braking hard once again on the curves. Hop on towards the right, a little bit wide on entry, but on exit gets the power down nice and early, getting the job done, and across the line for Yoni Dobson. It's going to be P9 with a 43.005. Jeffrey Ritchie retires from the session. He thinks he's done enough, and he probably has in that P2. Yoni Dobson into P9 with 43.0, probably has done enough as well.
Hopefully, let's see if it's enough for him or not. With such a long track, it would be impossible to go back and still put an attempt. And we have quite a few drivers validating their attempts, so the situation is starting to be a bit tricky for some of our drivers. While we already have 4 drivers considering that their attempts are enough for this first qualifying session, with Akinci, Jeffrey, Lillian, Nelson, Jeremy and Javier Fernandez all retiring from the session. But we still have quite a few positions to decide at the end of our grid. And one of the drivers in danger, Gregory Balati, will be the next one starting his last attempt. Absolutely.
So, as Gregory Balati, we've just said, currently in P15, he's just crossed the line about now on that 43.419. He needs something special to see himself into qualifying 2. He's only a couple of hundredths off Thiago Costa, who's currently in P16. He's on his outlap as well. Jacobo Grillo is 17th as well. The 2 Alpha Tauris in very much danger at the moment, 15th and 17th, as we just said. Robbie Van needs to improve, and most importantly, out of all of this, Danny Berezne needs to improve as well. Yet to get a lap time on the board and validated his first run, and can definitely use some little bit of luck, and definitely, obviously with the championship at stake, and can definitely take the championship lead out of here. He can definitely do with a couple of points on his backside. Danny Berezne currently in 20th place. Gregory Balati was down in sector 1, as we've just seen, as he flies into No Name. Onto the curves he goes. Nicely taken. There is the AlphaTauri into Puan, a fast throwing left-hander. So many Gs carrying on the real-life drivers' cars through there. About 5 Gs. It's a real neck breaker for all of you down there as he come into sector 2. Then hop on towards the right, using the curves as much as you can. Helps rotate the car very, very nicely. On towards the right, in towards another right-hand side corner onto the sector 2 delta. The only 200ths up is Balati at the moment. That will still keep him in P15. He needs something massive into sector 3, and it's going to need to be in the bus stop chicane, and that is not hard, not easy to do, to climb that up in the lap times you've got in towards the bus stop. Then 30 seconds left to go in the session. It's make or break for Gregory Balati to see if he gets himself into qualifying 2. Across the line he will go. If he improves at all, he crosses the line now, and only 69 thousandths of a lap time is enough, and that is not going to be good enough. He's currently in P15. It's enough right now, but with lots of people improving, I doubt it will be. Danny Berezne is currently on a lap at the moment. He's in sector 2 and currently going very, very fast indeed as he comes towards the right-hand side into sector 2 delta right now. It's a 14.201. The checker flag is now out. Samuel B and Jacobo Grillo, who else? 12th down pretty much. All are on laps. Tony Richet has retired from the session. He's out of qualifying as well. That might have been a crash somewhere where we saw those yellow flags. We'll stay on board with Danny Berezne for the remainder of this lap. Into the bus stop, in towards the right and up towards the left. Chalakinchi currently on pole position and top in the timing sheets with a 42.5. It's currently Danny Berezne on a 42.4 and beats that by pretty much a tenth of a second exactly. Danny Berezne top in the timing sheets and sees himself safely through into qualifying 2. Samuel Bean is out there as well. He's going slowly, about 6 tenths down in sector 2. Yoni Dobson is 12th. Jacobo Grillo gets himself half into P7 as well. Diogo Moraes is currently in P14. He's currently trying to improve 68 thousandths up in Sector 2. Andreas Lopez improving as well. Stefano Ramazio as well as Lopez puts it into P7 and sees himself through into Q2. Here comes Diogo Moraes in the Aston Martin. Hop on towards the right and hop towards the left. Across the line he comes, 17th now. Someone else just going quicker. I think that was Jacobo Grillo. No, it wasn't. It's Stefano Ramazio and Diogo Moraes, sorry, is out of qualifying, could not improve. And Robbie Van is out of qualifying as well. Gregory Belatti could not improve either. So it's Fernandez, Moraes, Belatti, Van and Richer all out in qualifying 1. And that is very much disappointing for all of those drivers. And Jonny Dawson just managing to sneak his way through there on a 43.005. I said it was enough. And that was pretty much bang on the nail. 43.005 is the cutoff there. And Danny Beresne tops the time sheets once again.
Yeah, of course, I think that time from Danny was a bit conservative since he didn't have a reference time and he only had one shot to make it to Q2 with obviously track improvement since Jenna Kinchi put his time. I'd say that was a bit of a defensive role from Danny, but still enough to just from his last in the Q1 area and was able to jump to P6. So curious to see what he will be able to do, considering that quite a few drivers didn't actually make a last minute attempt.
Absolutely. So there are your results from qualifying 1. It's Danny Beresne sitting cup 3 at the top with Channa Kinchi in P2. Jeffrey Ritchie is third, about 6,000 separating Kinchi and Ritchie there. Absolutely fantastic. Samuel Bean is 4th, and Lilian de Brevcourt in 5th. Diego Costa is 6th. Oscar Villacampa in 7th. Andreas Lopez is 8th. Jacobo Grillo in 9th. And Nelson Alves is P10. Stefano Ramazio is 11th. With Jerry Van Bussel in 12th. Jakob Rosetsu is 13th. Jeremy is 14th. And Dobson is P15. And those are your drivers going through into Q2. I'll quickly say hello to all of you there. There's your calendar for the season. That was the wrong button. Of course, as you can see there, we're in Belgium. Canada is next as well into Britain, Italy, Australia, and Abu Dhabi at the final round of the season. And we will cut quite back to the lobby. I was had the wrong button on there again. We'll go into Q2 then. Everyone on the safe set of soft compound tyres, of course, once again. And we will see who goes through into Q3 and into the knockout. I'm probably looking at this one, Joanna. It's probably going to be maybe a mid to high 42s once again.
Let's see. As I mentioned, I think that Danny's lap was a bit defensive, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that time going down significantly during this season, this session. Sorry.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, again, it's still early doors in qualifying 2, about a minute in. Nelson Alves is the first one out on track for the McLaren team. Of course, the F1 esports champions are McLaren Shadow this season, had a brilliant season in the esports series, and they can definitely go on to multi things. Nelson Alves currently is the driver of the McLaren tonight, alongside Tiago Costa, the Portuguese companion, of course, currently leading them way out. Currently scheduled on a P1. We'll have to wait and see where he is at the end of the buzzer, but we'll have to wait and see. Nelson Alves preparing his lap time once again. No one out on the intermediates this time around, taking it very, very seriously in this Q2 session. Obviously, the first few runs just getting a tester of everything on their rigs, on their setups, how the game's feeling once again, and they'll see how they will go and see if it does stick or not. So Nelson Alves will be the first one to cross the line. We'll take a lap of the Belgian Grand Prix with him once he makes his way towards the bus stop chicane into Sector 3 comes. We'll get the timer on for you as no, that's the wrong one. There we go. So Nelson Alves, he makes his way up towards Sector 3 once again into Blanchiment of 17 and the bus stop of 19 and of 20 once again in towards the bus stop now. Big braking zone onto 100 in towards the right, on towards the left, and here we go then for a lap of the Belgian Grand Prix with Nelson Alves coming down towards the back straight into the source of turn 1. The massive crash of 2018 involving a few of the drivers. Fernando Alonso going over at the back of Charles Leclerc in a very, very nasty accident coming up towards turn number 2, if you like. Very, very quick and into Eau Rouge on the left and Vadion of the right. Lando Norris obviously having that big crash in 2018 in the wet. DRS wide open. He went into the Kemmel Straight. Here comes Sebastian Vettel, 2018 once again. And that infamous moment where he went side by side with Lewis Hamilton in towards Les Combes of 7, 8 and 9. Into 8, into 9 there. Into another right-hander on towards the curves and into turn 10. And once again, making it very, very nicely. Fourth gear action. Well down in towards the right and into no name of the left of 11. Holding that curve very, very nicely. A very, very nice lap so far from Nelson Alves. He makes his way into Pouan of 12. And into Campus 13 and 14 in a couple of moments' time. Here we go then into turn 13. Into 14 in Campus, just a flick on the 50-meter board. Campus is now on the left into 15 of Stavolo. Braking around the 50 meters, just a little bit of a kiss on the brake, using the car to rotate yourself, using the curve and everything you can to get as much lap time as possible. Move with the car to the right-hand side of the track, the shortest distance to the next curve, into 17 of Blanchemont, and then it's a fully flat-out move into 18. And into the bus stop chicane of 19 and 20. Big braking and enter just after the 100-meter board, just about 90 meters you want to be braking. Third gear into the right, in towards the left, up to 4 for the traction, across the line, taking the right-hand side. And it's going to be a 42.630 for Nelson Alves, and he will take that any day of the week and goes about a second more quicker than Jeremy there, and Jeffrey Ritchie goes a little bit quicker.
Interesting time. Of course, Oscar Villacampa beating Nelson's time as well. And Kinchi back to P1. And he will probably stay there for a while. At least Dani Beresne will not be challenging for a bit since he's still on his outlap.
Yep, he's just starting his lap now. I'll tell you what, though, his teammate Jerne Dolfsen is about to cross the line for his first flying lap as the clouds start to darken around this Belgian Grand Prix of 43.550 for Jerne Dolfsen. You can ride on board with him on there. You can see the skies and a little bit darker around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, around the Ardennes Forest. It does tend to rain here quite a bit, and when it does rain, it absolutely trenches it down. And it starts to get a little bit darker, and maybe a little bit more nervous for those guys out right now. Currently, the top 10, Shana Kinchi, Jeffrey Ritchie, Oscar Villacampa, Nelson Alves, Stefano Ramazio, Jacobo Grillo, Thiago Costa, Lilian, Rosetsu, and Jeremy, of course. That's your top 10 so far. Dani Beresne is currently on a lap as well. He's currently in sector 1. So you get a little bit tasty and a little bit of a touch and go if the rain comes here, because it's getting quite dark around here.
We might have a situation on our hands. At least for our Q2. I believe that if it keeps this way, the last qualifying session will be fully in the rain. So the situation will develop. Of course, the drivers only have a bit of an approximate information. It's not completely accurate.
Absolutely. So we're going to ride on board with Dani Beresne all the way through this lap. He's currently in sector 2 as well. And you can see there it's just really, really dark in sector 2 and into sector 3. Sector 1 slightly brighter, but it's definitely still quite cloudy, and we could see it literally right at the very end as the yellow flags for one of the Ferraris. I think that's Jeffrey Ritchie. No, that's Stefano Ramazio just getting out of the way of Dani Beresne as he comes towards the bus stop chicane. This will be his first lap on the board in Q2. If he rains a little bit more, this could be his last. In towards the left and in towards the right. It's probably going to have to be in towards the top ball. It's going to have to be in the top ball, and it is in the top ball with a 42.301, knocking on the doors of the 42.2s. And that is much, much better from Dani Beresne. About 87 thousandths quicker than Shana Kinchi, but it's so close. These lap times, you would be unbelievable how close they are. Jerry Van Bussel, however, is currently making his way into the bus stop chicane for the Mercedes team. Andreas Lopez just behind him as well on the lap. And certainly Berezne, Van Bussel and Lopez currently out on a lap as Yannick Dolson is in the pits. And Jerry Van Bussel puts it into P9, and his teammate Andreas Lopez has just started his lap as he makes his way up Eau Rouge right now. And the top 10 looking pretty comfy so far, but maybe this just could be a little bit of a cloud cover and we might not see any rain.
Well, we'll see. We have some of our drivers already coming back for a second attempt, and of course Andreas Lopez on his first, and here in the pits not able to put a time still in this session. So let's see what comes of it. So far, a bit of a tricky situation for those two. At the same time, we have I think it's Jerry also on the lap. The other Mercedes driver already trying to improve his attempt, but I don't know, it's a bit of a different. Yeah, he's not on a flying lap, is he?
Not quite sure. Don't think he is at all. No, he's not. We can just see that Andreas Lopez, however, is currently going a little bit quicker at the moment. 14.6 in Sector 2. There's a little bit of traffic comes his way. One of the Alfa Romeos is Danny Berezne just in front of him. Oh, that's gotten a little bit tasty. And I don't think Lopez would have liked that. That might be a little bit of investigation there. But Danny Berezne did go off the track there, so he made an attempt to try and get out of the way. It was pretty last minute. It's definitely an interesting one there. Andreas Lopez, well, it will come across the line. Goes P7 anyway with a 42.727. I think he'll definitely be a little bit unhappy with Danny Berezne there, and I'll probably say that he maybe blocks him a little bit, but a little bit interesting there. And into P7 goes Andreas Lopez anyway with a double Mercedes Q3 appearance at the moment with only 5 minutes left to go.
Interesting to see. At the moment, we have Jeremy on flying lap. Of course, we want to the third final qualifying session as well. At the moment, he invalidates, so let's hope rain is not imminent, otherwise he might have just compromised his qualifying session.
Absolutely so, and once again, that is not what he needed with 5 minutes to go, and this cloud starting to get a little bit darker. I keep trying to pep it up for a little bit of rain, but doesn't seem to be coming. It seems to be a little bit of cloud cover, which is pretty nice for the drivers. The cars might go a little bit quicker in a little bit colder conditions, which is always nice for them, but the commentator's point of view, yes, it is raining. You can just see that. It is raining in Sector 2. We can see that on a little bit of the camera, it is starting to rain. The rain has started to hit in Belgium for the first time this season. We have a little bit of rain on our hands in these last qualifying sessions. It has to be now. Jeremy is probably going to be out this session. Berezne retires from the session. Thiago Costa, Lilian, Rosetsu, and Yoni Dolson have to get out there immediately if they want any chance of going into the next session. But the question is, how fast will it rain? It's only... And I think it is probably too late. The rain can go very, very quickly here in this game. It can rain for a little bit and then it absolutely spits it down. As we can see there, Jeremy will go for one more lap. He's going to have to if he wants to try and get a lap in. But how long will we have this rain? And will it get dry enough for Jeremy to get a lap in is the question. It's all happening at Belgium.
It's all happening. Jakub trying
Yoni definitely won't. He's gone out a little bit too late. Who's left in there? Andreas Lopez retires from the session. Jakub Rosetsu is out there as well. Lilian is not out there. Jeremy improving by 57,000 of a second, but a huge slide out of Les Carmes, and that is his lap done and dusted. He thinks it's too wet. He's backed off. He is out of qualifying. Will go only 14th. Jakub Rosetsu has retired as well in the pits, I believe. Not quite sure. Yoni Dolson is out there on the sauce. but you can see that DRS disabled. It's too wet, and I think that is going to be it for Yoni Dobson as well. He cannot improve, or will not improve. As you can see there, big moment out of Pooh, unlucky to keep it up the barriers, and a big spin off Camper. Lucky to stay out in there as everyone retires from the session. So it is going to be Thiago Costa, Lilian Debrevcourt, Jakub Rozetsu, Jeremy Glinia, and Yoni Dobson out of Q2 as the rain started to hit in Q2, and we will get rain for Q3 as well. And it's going to Danny Berezne, Shanna Kinchi, Jeffrey Ritchie, Samuel Bean, Oscar Villacampa, Nelson Alves, Andreas Lopez, Stefano Ramazio, Jacobo Grillo, and Jerry Van Bissau going to Q3 in the wet conditions. I said it was going to be touch and go, and it definitely has been there as we end Q2 in the wet.
Only 3 drivers still to retire, some in the pits, and then of course Jeremy and Jeremy Dobson, who will, I'm not sure he will still try to put a time, but he's supposedly on the slower compound, as soon as the message for DRS disabled shows up, usually the intermediates are the faster tire, so only him left on this session, all other drivers already retiring from this second qualifying session.
Yep, absolutely. Jeremy will, Yoni will try and get a lap in on the softs anyway, just to say he did set a lap in, but it's not going to be a good one by any stretch of the imagination. 31.3 in sector 1. He's not going to be improving anyway. It's just a little bit too wet, as you can see that Alfa Romeo just sliding everywhere in a big slide out of the exit of Les Combes there, and it's just not working. He does retire from the session there, and that brings a swift end to qualifying 2. The rain started to hit late on, and took a little bit everyone by surprise a little bit, but that was going to be it for qualifying 2. 2 minutes to spare. Just got a little bit wet, and everyone said, let's call it a day. Danny Berezne tops the timesheets once again with Shanna Kinchi in P2. Jeffrey Ritchie is P3 with Samuel Bean in P4. Scovia Camper is 5th with Nelson Alves in P6. Andreas Lopez is 7th with Stefano Ramazio in 8th. Jacobo Grillo is 9th, and Jerry Van Bissau just getting through there in P10. Thiago Costa, Lilian Debrevcourt, Jakub Rozetsu, Jeremy Glenier, and Yoni Dobson are out of qualifying and down 11th and 15th. A brilliant end to qualifying there. We will get some rain in qualifying 3. Hello, everyone, once again. Thank you for tuning us in on your Sunday evening. We've just seen, obviously, the World Cup final happening. Argentina winning that one. Spoiler alert there. But, yeah, it's been a pretty decent first couple of sessions there. And in the rain, it's going to get a little bit tastier, Joanna.
Let's see if, with the rain, if it improves, worsens, or is quite stable, and if we will have in the first 2 scenarios only one real attempt, or we will be able to have 2 good attempts from our drivers. I see the Ferrari, one of the Ferraris, so it will be well, it can be both, because we have 2 Ferraris in this session already getting ready to go out on track, and of course the Haas of Oscar Villacampa having the last box in this game obviously jumps him, and it has the first position on track. Whoa, no, Danny Berezne is the first one. So this might be a sign that the conditions will
Yeah, it definitely might be. Danny Berezne was in no hurry to get out there. He's going to lead the way as Stefano Ramazio joins him as well, alongside Shanna Kinchi, Jeffrey Ritchie, Nelson Alves, and Oscar Villacampa as well. Samuel Bean comes in as well, and now everyone out on track apart from Jacobo Grillo. He's going to wait a little while longer, but yeah, this could be an indication that it might get a little bit worse. So do they try and get a one hit and miss lap in to try and see themselves on pole position? Danny Berezne, master of the rain, question mark. We've yet to see a little bit of a rain in Belgium, or well, in this season. However, this is our first wet session of the season. You can see the spray there, just massive on the cars there, just a little bit quiet. It's really, really wet indeed going through all of this, and it could get a little bit tasty. We could see a few mistakes starting to fly around. We could see a few big heavy crashes from a few of the big guns if they don't keep it careful. Setups as well could be a big factor. We'll see if it rains for the race as well. It could rain. We never know. So have these drivers set a little bit of a wet setup times we maybe have seen in Q1 with Danny Berezny going for a little bit of a safer lap time. We'll have to wait and see if they have made any adjustments or not. Obviously under Parc Fermé, they're not allowed to, but we'll have to wait and see. Danny Berezny will be the first one to set a lap time in the rain, and we will see how he goes in the Belgium Grand Prix in the ardent forest of the wet. As Danny Berezny masters into turn 1, up to turn 2, a fully flat out corner in any direction, in any sort of weather scenario. Up Eau Rouge and up towards Radion on the left and right, taking it nice and easy on towards the curb. A little bit of a lift off, you can probably tell, but it's nice and easy through Danny Berezny up towards the camera straight towards the back straight into turns number right, left and right once again into Les Combes. Flying towards the left, in towards the right, and in towards another second right once again, lining on towards the curves. We've got yellow flags in Sector 3, just a few people going a little bit cautiously. In towards the right-hander once again comes Danny Berezny. A little bit of a slip out of the corner, but keeps it nice and tidy. In towards No Name on the left-hand side, on towards the curb. Very, very nicely taken out of there, but a little bit of a slip out of the left-hander might have cost him. In towards Pouon, usually flat out in the dry, a little bit more hefty in the rain. As you can see, it's so wet out there. The rain is absolutely relentless. As you can see, just from the amount of spray we're having to deal with on Danny Berezny's T-Cam, it might be a chance in the not-so-distant future. We might see a few of the wet tyres starting to come into the play. Intermediate seem okay so far. It's going to see how, once again, it's going to be a little bit of that touch and go. Sector 3, absolutely drenched. Yes, Sector 2 looking okay. Sector 3, absolutely appalling. As we can see there, coming towards in towards the left-hander now. Danny Berezny going very, very wide on towards the curves. Lucky to not go off track. In towards the bus stop chicane. On towards the right. In towards the left. The number 2 of the Alfa Romeo. What's it going to be? Taking a nice wide line to get the exit down. Up towards the line comes Danny Berezny. It's going to be a 1:55.516. But he did invalidate that one. That will not count. Jacopo Grillo will come into Sector 2 right now. We've got yellow flags in Sector 3. Not sure who it is. Shanna Kinchi, we'll see. But now Oscar Villacampa goes pole position with a 55.211 as one of the Ferraris will follow him through. I'm not sure who that is. It is going to be Jeffrey Ritchie, a 2:00. Here comes Shanna Kinchi, a 54.190. Goes about quicker than Oscar Villacampa by about a second and a little bit. Stefano Ramazio goes about P2, a second down on Shanna Kinchi once again. They're all starting to flow through. Nelson Alves, a 2:09. Yuri Van Versel with a 54.710. So about 6/10 off Shanna Kinchi. And it is absolutely appalling conditions out there, to say the least. Jacopo Grillo will cross the line now. He goes P5 with a 55.993. Samuel Bean is still out there at the moment. He's just started his first flying lap. Andres Lopez as well starting one. And this might just be the way it ends here if the rain gets a little bit too torrential.
Well, let's see. It sure looks like it's getting worse, but at the same time, quite a few drivers that didn't really put a true attempt from their sides, such as, of course, Danny Berezny. Even Nelson was lifting off to let Shanna Kinchi pass on the third sector. That yellow flags that you mentioned were exactly that. So he will be now going for his attempt, as well as, of course, Samuel Bean and Andres Lopez, who haven't yet put a time as well.
Absolutely. 2 laps you can probably get away with in the wet if you like to put on the fuel, which might be the cause to Jeffrey Ritchie's and Nelson Alves' 2-minute times, but we'll have to wait and see as well. Nelson Alves currently in P7 as Danny Berezny gets for another one. We've just seen him go through, and obviously that invalidation in the second lap has counted. 53.713, and it is the 53s for Danny Berezny, and goes pole position by about 0.5 of a second. A few more improvements starting to type up everywhere you look. Stefano Ramazio is coming towards the bus stop chicane. He's about 0.2 up on his time as he comes towards the bus stop chicane into the final couple of corners. A little bit of a slip on it, checked, but gets the job done across the line, stays P6, but about 3/10 of an improvement there. Not about a tenth alone there. Samuel Bean is next across the line in his purple and orange helmet. Across the line comes Samuel Bean, across the line and into P9. That will not count. Andreas Lopez, how's he done? Has he kept his lap clean or not is the question. Into the bus stop chicane there, into 1 minute 50, 51, 52. Here we go then. Andreas Lopez across the line now and goes into P7. He's kept that lap time good into a 55.211. 4 minutes, about 5 minutes left to go in the session. And Samuel Bean still not on the timing sheet, and he will go for one more.
And it seems that it's not that bad since quite a decent time going this late in the session to the top of the sheets, of course, with Danny and Jeffrey's time quite recently. On the other hand, both Samuel Bean and Nelson with invalidated attempts, so it's not yet that they will put a lap. I'm predicting they will both come to try with a new set of hinders this last attempt, but of course, so will everyone else. So let's see who will take pole position tonight.
Absolutely. So Nelson Alves seems to be struggling around Porn. He went a little bit wide. Has he invalidated is the question. Yes, he has. You can see that. And that will not count for Nelson Alves. Samuel Bean, however, he's making his way through Sector 2. Has he kept it going is another question. No, he hasn't. And Samuel Bean, for 2 times in a row, is going to have to go again. And again, 3 minutes left to go in the session. It's going to be make or break, really. About 2 minutes is the time you get to lap in the wets on a slow lap-ish. Pretty much on a fast lap, you're pretty much there. Anyways, Nelson Alves on that 2:09. He had a few mistakes as well as everyone pretty much out there at the moment. Danny Bresnay is staying out. Shana Kinchi has just put on a new set of intermediates. So has Jerry Van Bussel. So those two have decided to go for a last-ditch attempt on new sets. Stefano Rolazio comes into the pit lane as well for Ferrari. Andreas Lopez is out there as well, but he's going a little bit slowly. Might be in for an in-lap. Yes, he is. He comes in to the Mercedes garage. Quite a fitting helmet in the wets as a nice little fish helmet seems to go. And wrestling through that car all the way through down the pit lane. Lucky to not to get any front wing damage on that Mercedes. That's pretty much now everyone decides to come back in, but Jerry Van Bussel and Shana Kinchi still out there at the moment. Shana Kinchi will go for one last attempt, but the question is, will the track get any better?
Oh, not for Jerry, but still, that maybe not having some of our drivers, and let's see who manages to keep it together and not invalidate this last attempt. Of course, Samuel Bean will have a bit of a higher pressure, I'd say, considering that he still hasn't put on a time. And of course, the Aston Martin has shown that he can be quite fast around here. So let's see how far he can go. In the meantime, we have Jacopo Grillo, considering that he will not have enough time to take his last attempt, or at least he wouldn't have a new set of tires, and deciding to retire from this qualifying session. P8 is where he stands at the moment. Let's see if Nelson and Samuel can both pass the AlphaTauri driver or not.
Absolutely, everyone out on the circuit right now. Other run out laps.
Sorry, Joshua. Shana Kinchi had just started his final attempt and invalidated on Eau Rouge. So he doesn't have time. So that's Shana Kinchi out of the pole position fight.
Yeah, we've just seen that. Just skipped a little bit of Eau Rouge, a little bit of a moment, had to connect. And that is that for Shana Kinchi. He's missed his opportunity to try and get pole position. Jerry Van Bussel, I think he's kept it clean through Eau Rouge and up the Camel Straight. Yes, he has. So he's kept it going so far as they go through Les Combes. Really attacking on those track limits as he has been all the way through the session in towards the loop of the right-hander. Nice little green and blue helmet he's been wearing for tonight. he makes his way towards No Name on the left-hand side and in towards P1. As we said, flat out in the dry, a little bit of a lift in the rain. As we can see there, Jerry Van Bassau, how's he going to take it? Nice and smoothly, nice on the curves, and that is not bad at all from Van Bassau as he comes towards the back straight into Sector 2. Campus is next, in towards the right and in towards the left, taking it nice and steady. Doesn't want to loop the thing, as we've seen a few drivers do. A little bit of a wrestle with the car on exit, but keeps it going and keeps it pointed in the right direction. How's he going to be in Sector 2? He's 8/10 down. The track is worsening here, and Danny Berezne might just be on course for another pole position. He's taken 2 races back, and it could be another pole position for Danny Berezne. We can see him there. He's just starting his flying lap now as Shanakinchi. Will he get to the line in time? 3, 2, 1. Just in the nick of time. He will get one more to go by 1 second clear. Oh my goodness me. Touch and go there. Stefano Ramazio doesn't make it. He's only going to finish P6 at best on that 54.759. Does Jerry Van Bassau improve at all? No, he's not. He's 6 seconds down and stays P5 for now as the times start getting worse and worse and worse as Nelson Al's slipping there a little bit. Samuel Bean is out there as well. Andres Lopez out there also. So is Oscar Villacampa. Jeffrey Ritchie as well. Shanakinchi as well as Danny Berezne. They're all about in the same position as everyone else at the moment. We'll stay on boards with Danny Berezne though to see if he improves at all, if it is possible to improve as we make our way towards P1. And he is improving so far.
At least at the end of the first sector, he was improving by half a tenth.
He was improving by half a tenth. That might be just a little bit of a cushion to try and get himself on pole. We'll see if anyone else is improving, is the question in these really, really difficult conditions. On towards the curb, attacking everything, is Danny Berezne. 28 thousandths of a second down in Sector 2. He can try and gain a little bit in into Sector 3 if he can, but it's going to be a hard ask if he can do. In towards the back straight, through towards Blanchman of 17, in towards 18 and into the bus stop of 19 and 20. What's it going to be for the Alfa Romeo driver, the Alfa Romeo F1 esports driver, the multiple winner in ORL and the multiple winner in pretty much about everything? Danny Berezne across the line now. Does he improve? Will he get pole position? He does improve with a 53.651 by about 600ths of a second. It's Danny Berezne on pole position so far. Jeffrey Ritchie is half a tenth down at the moment, currently in P3. Can he muster anything? No, he's not. He's about into the 2 minutes timings, and that is absolutely everyone. No one could improve except Danny Berezne. He's on pole position once again by a massive margin, by about half a second to everyone else. And Danny Berezne, two races he's been out, and on to the race which he loves so much. He's back on it once again. It's Danny Berezne on pole position at Belgium.
No, not really a surprise having Danny Berezne on pole in this track, is it? But of course, let's see what the rest of the drivers can reply on the beginning of the race. And Joshua, I've been told that there will be some rain coming up during the race. So quite interesting to see what strategy all drivers will take, considering that they might not be quite sure if the mediums go to the rain or if they'll have to take the hard.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, with the weather situation. Medium to hard is the question. Depends when it rains, really. 22 laps we will have at Belgium, but yeah, it's going to be a real touch and go to see whether you go onto the hards or the mediums, maybe even the softs. Depends how quickly the rain does start to come. Maybe even lap 2 or 3 it starts to come. But we'll load up the session now. Blue skies so far. But we are expecting a little bit of rain from Joanna. But question is when it will come. And looking likely from those blue skies, it won't come for quite a while. If you have just joined us, where have you been? You've just missed an absolutely incredible qualifying session. We will run down the grid for you as quickly as we can. There's the race director there for you. Danny Berezne on pole position with Shanakinchi to the right-hand side, to the left-hand side of him, sorry, in P2. Jeffrey Ritchie is third with Oscar Villacampa in P4. Jerry Van Bassau is fifth with Stefano Ramazio in P6. And once again, getting up there for Ferrari as he has been all season. Nelson Alves is seventh with with Andreas Lopez in P8. Jacobo Grillo is 9th, and Samuel Bean did not get a lap in Q3 and starts P10. Thiago Costa is 11th with Lilian de Brevcourt in P12. Jakob Rosetsu is 13th. Jeremy Glenier is 14th, and Yoni Dawson is 15th. Javier Fernandez is 16th, with Diogo Moraes is 17th. Gregory Belatti is 18th, with Robbie Van in 19th, and Tony Roche will start at the back of the grid after a crash in qualifying 1. We're ready to go for the Belgian Grand Prix. Stay tuned. It's going to be an absolutely incredible one with rain threatened on the way. In about 15 seconds time, we'll see who is going to be the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix, and if we see a new face on top of the driver's standings. Could Danny Beresne wrap it up and go into the next round with a little bit more of a buffer to Ismail Fassi? We're ready to go for the Belgian Grand Prix. The lights are about to go out in a few seconds time. Here we go then. The first one, second, third, fourth and fifth. We're about to get ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. They go out to win racing at Spa-Francorchamps. A good start from Danny Beresne compared to Chana Kinchi. They all go into turn 1. It's Beresne who leads the way. There goes Jeffrey Ritchie on Chana Kinchi, immediately getting the job done into P2. A little bit of a kerfuffle at the back of the Red Bull, getting a little bit shoved off track, but it's still Chana Kinchi who goes into P2. Danny Beresne has a 5/10 advantage to the rest of them up the top of Eau Rouge. Here comes Jeffrey Ritchie, all on the back of Chana Kinchi as we come towards the back straight. Yuri Van Bassal in the background, getting the job done. Oscar Camper. Does Ritchie send it? No, he doesn't. He's going to stay all the way through. And Danny Beresne still remains in this one. Chana Kinchi is P2 with Jeffrey Ritchie in P3. Yuri Van Bassal is 4th. They've kept it nice and clean at the starters further back. That's Nelson Alves having a little bit of a moment on Stefano Ramazio. Could not get the job done as Tony Roche and Javier Fernandez battles away the 17th and 18th. But it's all a clean start, and Danny Beresne leads this way by 7/10 of a second.
Quite a bit of moment both in turn 1 and then into Eau Rouge, with some of our drivers having to lift off to avoid collision ahead. And then of course the guys behind. Eau Rouge is such a technical turn that of course it's really difficult to keep it together even when you have to lift. At the moment we had Yerne Dawson passing Thiago Costa for P12. So quite a nice maneuver from the Alfa Romeo driver. And ahead we have Jakob Zet and Robbie Van fighting for position as well.
Robbie Van having an absolutely stonking start to this Grand Prix, up into P10 and up into the points for Alpine. He's having a lightning start off the lights on the medium compound tyres. Danny Beresne sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix at 49.044 on the hard compound tyres, with only 4 of our drivers on the mediums. That is Diogo Moraes, Yoni Dobson, Robbie Van, as we just said, Stefano Ramazio, and Nelson Alves battles away for P6 and P7. There's almost a little bit of a side-by-side moment going up Eau Rouge. We're going to ride on board with Stefano Ramazio as they come up towards the back straight. ERS is going to be in use for Ramazio, but as he's the straight line speed a little bit too good for Nelson Alves. Definitely looks like it, and it is going to be Nelson Alves' position up into P6 he goes. But yeah, as we just said, Moraes, Fernandez now, Yoni Dobson, Robbie Van and Yuri Van Bassal all on medium compound tyres. Jacobo Grillo as Jan and Javier Fernandez probably gaining a little bit of damage on that lap as he's on the soft compound tyres now alongside Tony Roche, obviously starting at the back. Wants to get as many positions done as quickly as possible. He's on the soft, everyone else on the hard, so they're going to try and make it towards the end. As Gregory Belatti now having a little bit of a moment and having a crash just outside of No Name, I think that is. Yes, it is. And that is a little bit of spin. Doesn't see any damage at all for the AlphaTauri team, but they're having a miserable start to this one. And already Danny Beresne has started to run away a little bit, and already a second clear of Chana Kinchi.
After this first lap, we will be having DRS on the next lap, so interesting to see if the drivers will opt to stay on those positions, or considering that might be rain arriving soon, they'll try to get as many possible positions while it's still in the drive. We might have a bit of a different scenario tonight with the rain coming up in a bit. We might have some of our drivers a bit more aggressive at the first half of the
Absolutely, we're going to run on board Jari van der Sal at the moment as he comes up towards Eau Rouge. First time we'll be introduced to the DRS, and look how much he's gained on Jeffrey Ritchie, about 2/10 up Eau Rouge. Absolutely incredible gains on that Mercedes. He might maybe have a look down that inside of Ritchie. No, he doesn't. But I'll tell you what, he's not waiting around. It's Andreas Lopez. He's up into P7 as Stefano Ramazio starting to struggle a little bit in that Ferrari. He's down into P8 now, obviously overtaken by Nelson Alves. Had a really good lap one. He's starting to lose a little bit of time all the way through this race. A little bit pushing too much, I believe, on that Ferrari. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Ritchie is currently under pressure by Jari van der Sal on the mediums, of course, a little bit quicker tyre. But as he tries to catch up to Chandler Kinchy, he's trying to catch up to Danny Resnay, who's currently leading this one by 1.2 seconds at the moment. We're going to stay on board, though, with Van der Sal as he makes his way towards Jeffrey Ritchie, and this could be pretty tasty battle we'll have on our hands towards this one as Van Bussel, Ritchie and Chandler Kinchy start to come into battle. Oscar Villacampa currently on course for his best result this season, currently in P5. Haven't had the greatest of luck this season, haven't really been scoring points as often as they would like, but Oscar Villacampa currently in P5, definitely doing the business for them as Jari van der Sal so close to the back of Jeffrey Ritchie at the moment to make their way out of the bus stop chicane, and this is definitely going to be a move Jari van der Sal will want to make this lap up towards Eau Rouge. We come on towards lap 4 of the Belgian Grand Prix, a little bit of a wide entrance into La Source. Gets the exit down to a nail, 4/10, 3/10, 3.5 is the gap between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. I wonder if Jari wants to make this move done and dusted. Look how much speed he's got up Eau Rouge, and already Ritchie is flashing. Brulati has retired from the session. Here comes Jari van der Sal down the inside of the Mercedes. Does he get the job done? Yes, he does. And Jari van der Sal sees himself on the podium. Up into P3 he goes and in towards the podium situations as Chandler Kinchy now into P5. Ramazio with a 3-second penalty as Nelson Alves having a massive moment out of the exit there. Just got past Oscar Villacampa, but getting the job done anyway. And up into P5 could have ended in a disaster. Thankfully for him it didn't, as Stefano Ramazio gets a 3-second penalty and Gregory Belatti is out of this one.
Yes, and we have Jerne Dovzan and Jakub Zes almost side by side into Pool, the Alfa Romeo driver lifting a bit, but still getting a better exit, and still they go side by side with Jakub off the bottom of those two. It was
no!
They both spin. What an unfortunate! I was about to say that Tierney had passed through earlier in the race in that fashion, in that zone off the track, but unfortunately this time with unfortunate consequences for both of them.
Yeah, that was an awkward one. Just a little bit of a front wheel and rear wheel accident, and the two of them light their ears. And round goes Rosetsu and round goes Dovson. That probably might be looked at the end of this one, but right now, Yoni Dovson and Jakub Rosetsu have a lot of work to do. Not ideal for their race at all. We're going to move over more to the front of the field, and Jari van der Sal is having an absolute stormer in this Grand Prix so far as the clouds start to darken in this one. He might have timed this absolutely perfectly with the medium compound tyres, and he's already all over the back of Chandler Kinchy. He's going to be side by side with Chandler Kinchy, and he's going to be in front of Chandler Kinchy. The Mercedes moves up to P2. He is absolutely on fire in this Belgian Grand Prix, and so is Oscar Villacampa. He dispatches of Nelson Alves, and Samuel Bean dispatches of a struggling Ramazio as well. Up into P8 he goes for the Aston Martin team, as already the clouds start to come in around Sector 2. It's a little bit brighter in Sector 1, but Sector 2, it is pretty dark out there. But as the intermediates might be starting to prep in a little while longer. Currently, the gap between Jari van der Sal and Danny Beresney is about 1.5 seconds. He's going to be trying to close that up as best as he can, as Yoni Dovson has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and it's going to get a little bit more tastier from here, as we can see riding on board with Chandler Kinchy. It's still bright, but the clouds are starting to come in a little bit more, and Jari van der Sal might have made an absolutely brilliant idea on the medium compounder tyres. If he waits a little while longer, this medium choice might be a very good one.
Let's see, the wind doesn't start playing how fast and how furious the race becomes. That might be the difference between the mediums being the optimal strategy or the hard. Most of the grid went for the hard compound, so let's see if these mediums can help Jerry Van Bossel to get at least the podium here. He's in P2 at the moment. Lost a bit of time to Danny with the fight with Jenna Kinchi, but let's see. Of course, it's not easy to get that without the DRS, so obviously they used the I was going to say a bit, but it's not a bit. So in this fight between them, they used a lot of energy on this fight. In the meantime, we will not have a swap between Oscar and Nelson. We will have a swap between Samovin and Edgar Lopez, with Samovin up to P7 after having dispatched Stefano Ramaggio on the last lap.
Nelson Alves with a 3-second penalty as well, but you can just see in the space of a lap how dark it's got around the whole track now. You can just see it's pretty much almost pitch black out of the way it's been so far. As, the rain might start to come in around lap 6, and Jere Van Bassel is on an absolute stormer here in this Belgian Grand Prix. Was close into about a second down the Camel Straight, but losing it in a little bit of the corners. So you can probably tell he's using quite an aggressive straight line speed setup compared to the rest of them, as he's losing quite a bit in the corners, which probably explains his overtakes down into the Camel Straight and how much he's going to gain down this back straight. He is using a little bit of ERS now as yellow flags start to come in around sector 2. Not sure who it's for though, and it is Grillo, who's had a little bit of a moment down in 18th, having a really awful Grand Prix so far. Jere Van Bassel trying to close up to Danny Beresne. Lap 7 of 22 at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's been a brilliant one so far. Make sure you stay with us for the remainder of this race. Jere Van Bassel having a really, really good one so far on ORL debut. Danny Beresne is still leading, but Shannon Hinchey and Jeffrey Ritchie, this top 4 have been really close together this whole time. As they come up towards the back straight, they've used up all their ERS so far. For Van Bassel's sake, however, let's have a look at Shannon Hinchey. Can't quite see, as Jeffrey Ritchie as well can see from there. 1.5 is the gap as Nelson Alves dispatches of Oscar Villacampa for the battle for P5. They're up 4 seconds down the road from everyone else, but Nelson Alves showing why he's definitely one of the best in this race so far, and definitely one of the targets this season to beat, coming in from Azerbaijan, of course, and having a really, really good qualifying. Just could not get the race down to a nail, but this Belgian Grand Prix been very, very good to him, but obviously with that penalty closing up, it could get a little bit interesting near the end, as the rain is getting so much closer in, as the clouds start to turn to grey in this Belgian Grand Prix in the Ardennes Forest. And Jere Van Bassel losing a lot of time as those mediums start to wear off a little bit more.
Interesting. Well, the mediums are still fine. I'm just curious to see how Tony Riche and Jacopo Grillo are doing on those soft compounds, because, of course... Oh, indeed, it's raining. Might not be that bad. I can see rain coming up on the POV from Tony Riche. So those softs with 6 laps might have been the right choice for them.
Yeah, yellow flags in sector 2 once again. That's Jacopo Grillo, and already, yes, Van Bassel in the pit lane. So he's decided to put on pretty early, I'm going to say, but those mediums do not last very long. He's come into the pit lane as the DRS is enables Jere Van Bassel. I've spoken my own words there. That might be a very, very good decision. He just jumps the McLaren in the pit lane. That is a perfect stop for the Mercedes. He's going to come in for the intermediates. It's so busy in this pit lane. So the top 10 decide to stay out. Jere Van Bassel, sorry, he overtakes Jakob Zetsu. It's completely wet now. Jere Van Bassel has called that very, very well indeed. But currently in P10, this might be the net lead right here for Jere Van Bassel if he can keep this pace going, and if Danny Beresne and the top 10, top 9 start to slow down a little bit, which they start to do. Danny Beresne is really struggling in these positions, as you can see from that little bit of a skid there. More yellow flags coming in already. Rosetsu with a 5-second penalty. He's had to cut the corner for this position, as Thiago Costa as well having a few moments. and it's not as well as Jakub Rosetsu has come into the barriers as well. He's hit the wall. I don't think there's any damage though, but it's so wet out there, and that has definitely cost a lot of these guys some decent positions. But Jiri van Bassel, this could be a gift from the heavens.
Well, and also for Nelson, because he has his teammate behind.
Chanakinchi! Chanakinchi has made a mistake and into P3. He's lost a lot of positions on Jeffrey Ritchie. Apologies for cutting in there, Joanna, but he has lost a few positions. Grillo has retired from this session as well. It's all happening on lap 8 of the Belgian Grand Prix. Akinci loops it, thankfully, not into the barriers. Van Bassel dispatches of his teammate, but he's already caught up as Samuel Bean has lost the car as well. So close to collecting Jan Bassel as well, as already they're starting to close up, and Jiri van Bassel will take the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. He starts to dive it down the inside of Bosco-Villacampa as Chanakinchi goes off the track. It's all happening here. Jiri van Bassel will come through the final corner, and he will take the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. Danny Beresnay comes in as well. Everyone in right now, and that was an absolutely chaotic lap for about everyone as the rain hits in a very spectacular way. Everyone making mistakes left, right and centre. Nelson Alves has another one who's been really good with this pit stop, as you said, Joanna, into P2. Beresnay comes out in P3. He's not lost a lot, to be fair. Jeremy is in P4 now. Richie is 5th. Yone Dolfson is 6th. Leading to Brevcourt is 7th. Diogo Moraes is 8th. Akinci is 9th, with Andreas Lopez in the top 10 as everyone trying to bustle and tussle for position in this one. Lap 9 of 22. Jiri van Bassel leads this one by 4 seconds.
Interesting to see if Danny will be able to close the gap and how fast he will be able to do it. Of course, all these drivers with 4-second gaps between them might not help to have a references. They can't really see each other really close. Of course, we have Jeremy with one more lap on those intermediates, quite close to Beresnay. Let's see if he manages to keep up the pace close to the Alfa Romeo, because if he gets a penalty as I talk, sorry Jeremy, seems like a bit of a commentator's curse hitting the village driver, sorry, but we already have 5 drivers with penalties, and yet went for the wet tires. Not sure if it's on purpose.
Yeah, Rosetsu on the wets. I don't think he's quite ready for what the wets so far, as you can see him wrestling with that Williams car. I think a little bit more time and the wets might come through. We might see the wets in this one, which might save the likes of Beresnay, the likes of Akinci, and Samuel Bean as well, who just made his way up to 11th. Romasio is relegated to 12th. Tony Roche from the back of the grid is 13th as well, all over the back of this Ferrari as they come towards the back straight in towards the bus stop chicane. There's this little gap between 11th and 15th. Robbie Van, Oscar Villacampa, Tony Roche, Stefano Romasio and Samuel Bean start to heat up a little bit. Does Roche have a look down that inside? He's going to look down that inside, does he? As round the outside, which will turn to for the Red Bull. A little bit of a tossing and turning between the two, bushing out the way as they all go. Roche went for it down the inside, and he's going to be rewarded with the 12th place. Is he down the inside? Goes the Red Bull driver, a little bit of a lock-up. Romasio is still there around the outside. Hugging it in is the Ferrari. They go side by side, but Roche gets the job done, forces out Romasio, and Romasio down to 13th. Roche up to P12, but up towards Eau Rouge they come. Romasio still in the back of Tony Roche. Oscar Villacampa waiting in the wings for this one as they come towards the back straight. Onto the Kemmel straight. Does Romasio come to the right? He comes to the left-hand side anyway to try and cover, and Stefano Romasio, does he come out on top? Yes, he does. Comes back in, and into P12 goes Romasio. Roche in 13th. Villacampa stays 14th as Samuel Bean starts to bolt away a little bit more.
Interesting to see that after that poor start, Diogo Moraes is also already in P8. And if I may use my inside info, I know he's one of the drivers that I know, from those I know, that most practice in the rain. So it's curious to see. I'm very curious to see what can he show us tonight with all this rain coming down Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, not having a penalty at this moment might be useful, but the gap seems to be a bit bigger now, so it might not be as relevant at the end if there is no safety car till the end. A word to note for Dani Berezne, who took 2 seconds out of the gap to Nelson on the last 2 laps, so the Alfa Romeo driver. And the gap between Nelson and Jeremy has stayed the same, so interesting to see if Dani will be able to get to Jerry before the end of the race or not.
We'll have to wait and see. Tony Roche was looking to try and get past Ramazio on this lap, but just losing a little bit of time. He's going to have to wait a little while longer. Still about 12, 11, 10 laps to go in this Belgian Grand Prix. It's still currently led by Jere van Bassel, who's currently got about a 4.3 second gap to Nelson Alves in P2. Dani Berezne sits P3, will be to P2 after penalties as Jeffrey Ritchie gets past Jeremy Glenn, but it's gone way off track, missed his braking zone completely, and Jeremy gets passed back into P4, and easy as you like, says Jeremy, and a little bit of a mistake from Jeffrey Ritchie has cost him another position as we still come back towards the battle for P11. Andres Lopez trying to get past Chad Akinci. Stefano Ramazio still in P12. Roche in 13th, and Oscar Villacampa is still in P14. It says battling everywhere you look, really. Battle for P6 for Dovson, Lilian de Brevcourt and Marias as well, as Andreas Lopez starts to catch up to Chad Akinci as well. This is starting to get a little bit tasty. About a 10th and a half is the gap between the two of them, as the Alpine was struggling. They lost the car out of on the dry set of tyres when the wets come, and Nelson Alves has had a crash. Nelson Alves is out of this one. He's lost the car, and the safety car is deployed. Nelson Alves, that stricken McLaren, has crashed out of the right. I think he's lost the car in a big fashion, and Nelson Alves cannot catch a break in this one. Had a brilliant, was running really well in this one, and a huge crash for the Portuguese driver in the McLaren, and the safety car is out for the 3rd time this season. And in the wets, it's Jere van Bassel still leading, but Nelson Alves has had a big one on lap 12 of 22, and the field will be bunched up once again. It'll be Van Bassel in the lead. Dani Berezne will sit P2 on track now, and Jeremy Glinier in P3. Jeffrey Ritchie is 4th, and Leonie Dawson in 5th. Lilian de Brevcourt is 6th. Marias is 7th, Lopez is 8th, Akinci comes into the pit lane in P9. That might be for a new set of tyres. Is that the wets I see on the Alpine? No, it's another set of the intermediates. It's actually for damage as well. Robbie Vaughan has a 5-second penalty as well. Akinci has that damage on the Alpine. That might be from the contact, from a little bit of a spin with the barriers. Thankfully, got out of it. Roche is now on the wet compound tyres in 13th. Robbie Vaughan comes in as well. Thiago Costa comes in as well. Jakob Rosetsu stays on the wets. Javier Fernandez might stay in as well. But this is starting to get a little bit interesting to see what tyre is right.
Jakob comes to the pits. He hasn't defined it yet. He now comes in, and I'm curious to see if he's going to swap for the intermediates. At the same time that Tony Roche swapped for the wets. I was curious to see if any of them were going to risk on the wets, because it seemed like the rain had become a little bit worse, and he goes for another set of wets, so this might be interesting to see. 2 drivers on the wets. Let's see if they made the right call, or if the intermediates will easily go to the end.
Absolutely. Apologies if Joanna was a little bit quieter there. I've tried to turn her up a little bit more, but we'll continue with this race so far. Under the safety car, it's still Van Bassel leading this one, but Dani Berezne is now starting to close in on this Mercedes, and this could be quite a decent move for Dani Berezne if he can get the job going. Jerry Van Bassel, a new hot shot in ORL, currently making his debut. Can he take his first victory in his ORL career? We'll have to wait and see as he leads this one in Mercedes. Dani Berezne in P2. Jeremy is 3rd. Jeffrey Ritchie in 4th. Leonie Dovson is 5th. Lilian de Brevcourt is 6th. Diego Marias is 7th. Andres Lopez is 8th. Samuel Bean sits P9. Ramazio is P10. The penalties go to Glinier, to Dovson, to Lopez, to Ramazio, via Camper, Van, and Rosetsu as well. Rocher and Rosetsu both on the wet compound tyres. We'll have to wait and see how that compares with the Delta to see if it is quicker than the intermediates. I don't think it will be, as Jerry Van Bassel almost having a look to try and overtake the safety car. I thought they're just taking a little bit of a tighter line to everyone else.
Antonio Rocher coming back into the pits for intermediates, so it was probably a mistake that put him on the blue compound. Interesting to see if Jakob Rezes is going to stay on the wet compound. He was the first one going for this set of tires, but it seems that he stays out. But it really doesn't seem like he's in the correct tire choice.
No, definitely not. Robbie Van comes into the pit lane for a set of the intermediates, so Thiago Costa takes his place in P15. About a 10-second gap between Javier Fernandez and Tony Rocher as they start to try and get back up to the rest of the pack. We should be probably going to come in around the next lap or 2 laps later, so around maybe lap 14 or 15 we'll get ready to go for, well, lap 15 or 16 we'll get ready to go for racing, which leaves us about 7 or 8 laps to go of pure flat-out green flag racing, and Yuri Van Bassel is on course for a win if we can keep this gap and keep this victory going. Danny Beresne, an experienced Danny Beresne who knows every sort of condition that the Belgian Grand Prix is thrown at him, can try and win this race. He said he has loved this track on multiple occasions and can definitely take the he's going to take the championship lead either way going into this one. It's going to be, I think, if my maths are correct, as he starts to light up those tyres a little bit more. About 18 minus 9 is about 9, I think. If my maths are correct, it's probably not. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. It was correct. 9-point gaps for Danny Beresne. 9-point advantage for Danny Beresne. The safety car comes in this lap. I was incorrect there. But Danny Beresne currently sitting on a 9-point advantage.
I'll say it's a 10-point advantage because the fastest lap isn't going anywhere.
Yes, of course. So I think, does he have the...
It's his.
It is his. So yeah, that's 10 points going for Danny Beresne. The advantage will be going his way after this one. If he can stay this way, Yuri Van Bassel will manage the pace and to see where he goes. And he goes fairly early and has caught Danny Beresne napping a little bit. Wasn't expecting him to go that early. And Yuri Van Bassel will lead them away into the final couple of corners in this Belgian Grand Prix, a very, very wet Belgian Grand Prix. We start lap 14, place your bets, here we go. Jerry Van Bassel leads this one with Danny Beresne in P2. Jeremy Glinier is third with Yanni Dovson in P4, but how much longer? There's a little bit of contact behind. I think that was Jeffrey Ritchie going to the back of Lillian. They go 3 wide out of La Source. It's so tight there. Could this be 3 wide? Going up Eau Rouge. Someone's going to have to back off. Do they back off? No, you don't. They're 3 wide up Eau Rouge. Oh my goodness me. Whoa, my goodness. Oh my God, they have kept that going. A lot of lost positions though, as Jeffrey Ritchie is down to 5th place. Diogo Moraes is up to 6th. Andreas Lopez is 7th. Yanni Dovson is 8th as they all start to go 3 wide up Eau Rouge. Oh my goodness me. I'd never thought I'd see the day, but 3 wide in Eau Rouge does work Formula One. And wow. What a scene we've just seen there. And it has ended up with Lillian in P4, Ritchie is 5th, Moraes is 6th, Andreas Lopez is 7th, and Yanni Dovson is the biggest loser there in P8 with Samuel Bean just behind him.
Of course, with this safety car, Danny didn't have to close the 4-second gap by himself, but he will now have to pass the Mercedes ahead of him on track on these conditions, which is always a bit difficult, a bit more difficult than it would be on the dry with the DRS assistance. Of course, either way, there wouldn't be a DRS on this lap since we just had our safety car coming in, and we'll have quite a gap already between Danny and Jeremy behind him, but with him being quite closely followed by Lillian. Let's see if the Red Bull will go for P3 or if there will be another 3 wide situation that you can jump from P6 to P3.
We'll have to wait and see as they come square by square by square. As Samuel B and Oscar V having Yannick Dawson losing a lot of positions out there and seem to be struggling quite a bit. Lillian will lead them out of La Source. Sorry, Jeremy will lead them out as La Source in P3. Lillian is 4th, Richie is 5th, Marias is 6th. With Andres Lopez waiting in the wings in P7, they go solo up Eau Rouge. They come towards Radion. It is Richie all over the back of the Brevcourt at the moment. Does he get the slipstream he deserves? He's going to get into the slipstream. He's going to move to the left-hand side quite late, almost making contact side by side. Richie versus Lillian. Is it going to work? It is going to work for Richie. Doesn't work for Lillian. He's relegated to P5, and Richie up into P4. Gets the job done, and nicely done. I go for the Ferrari, and now is trying to catch up to Jeremy in P3 as Tony Roche losing a lot of positions as there's a lot of carnage happening there. That's one of the Hasses off the track as well as Tony Roche down the inside of Chanakinchi, I think that is. Down the inside he goes, up into the points does the Red Bull go. Thank you very much as Jacob Rosetto and Jogo Costa start to battle away, but more crucially in the top there, Jerry Van Bassau is under a lot of pressure from Danny Berezne in P2, lap 15 of 22. We still got a lot more racing left in us at the moment, and Danny Berezne is all over the back of the Mercedes. He's going to have to look about something, maybe up a Rouge if he can, but then look at the straight line speed on that Mercedes, absolutely impeccable at the moment. But with that, he's going to have to lift a little bit through Blanchimont in towards the bus stop chicane. They go. Danny Berezne gets the braking advantage as they skip to the right and gets the better exit on towards the left. Danny Berezne using all his experience that he can to try and get past the tough Yeri Van Bassau, who's had a brilliant Grand Prix so far as they enter lap 16 of 22. Into turn 1 of La Source they go, and up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Danny Berezne currently sits about 3/10 now of an advantage to Yeri Van Bassau's more bustling with Lillian getting up into P5. Danny Berezne all over the back of the Mercedes of Yeri Van Bassau up towards the line. They go side by side up towards the chicane and up towards the straight, and it's Danny Berezne who takes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. Is it done though? Yeri Van Bassau will look to the outside. It does not work, and Danny Berezne retakes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix and has had to look behind the Mercedes for quite a while, but now he can look at some empty road, and Yeri Van Bassau will have to think again, and he's down into P2 with a few laps to go.
In the meantime, we had Diogo passing Lillian on the straight, of course, right behind Jeremy and Jeffrey fighting for the last podium position, although Jeremy of course has that penalty, so this maneuver could actually mean P4 for Diogo at the end. Let's see, still a few laps to go, and of course Danny once passing Jerry, already opening up 1 second of advantage. Let's see if he can bring it home. Of course we've seen Nelson, he was going quite fast and then of course losing the rear. It can always happen even with all this experience that these drivers have, but so far it looks like the P2 might be quite safe for Jerry. Let's see what Jeffrey and Jeremy will do, if they will fight or they will try to work together to get into that second position.
Absolutely, as the battle for P10 starts to heat up as Chanakinchi gets past Yoni Dawson into Blanchimont. Lovely move there for the Turkish driver, and Yoni Dawson will have to think again as well, and down into P11 as the battle starts to rage up as Lillian closing in on Diogo Moraes in P6. Andreas Lopez waiting in the wings in P7. There's just that little gaggle of cars from about P4 all the way down to about P9. Just that little bit of a gap seems to be raging on and on and on as Lillian, you can ride on board with him now. Closing up to Diogo Moraes is Oscar Villacampa. There's a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Once again, we'll have a look at the penalty front right now. It's 3 seconds for everyone apart from Oscar Villacampa, who has a 6-second time penalty. That was his second penalty of the day. As Lillian starts to close up to the back of Diogo Moraes, and Danny Berezne starts to bolt away from Yeri Van Bassau in P2 as Jeffrey Ritchie starts to close up to the back of Van Bassel and trying to get away from Jeremy Glinier, who's about a tenth and a half down the back, as Jere Van Bassel has a 3-second time penalty, and that can probably safely say the end to his attempts of trying to win this Grand Prix. And now his main focus is trying to get into the P2. As currently Jeffrey Ritchie is 29,000 subs. Now he breaks in to the 2.9s, and now he's gonna have to push like crazy as Van Bassel for these last couple of laps to make sure he stays into this P2 battle. Moving down the order, Jeremy Glinier is currently P4, has a penalty as well. Diogo Moraes is 5th, with Lillian in P6. It's all happening all the way through here as Tony Rocher as well. As more yellow flags, and that's Robbie Vaughn, who's had a little bit of a spinner there. We can have a look right now. He's down at the back of the field. We'll quickly flick over to Tony Rocher. He's closing in to the back of Samuel Bean as much as you look, but once again, just no overtaking is happening, and you can they just start to get caught up in just about the wrong places.
Tony Rocher and Jenna Kinchi have been together like glued to each other since the beginning of the second sector at least, while we see them going side by side once more, and this time it seems that Tony will still keep the position so far, but it's still interesting to see what, and of course now Samuel Bean with the battery and a way better exit, passing the Red Bull of Tony Rocher into the 8th position of this race. Let's see if he manages to close up to the Spaniard ahead of him, or if he will still be fighting with Tony until the end of the race. Still this lap and plus four laps to go.
Absolutely so. As Tony Rocher going for a big move there down the inside and has made it work. He is not afraid to get his elbows out in these wet weather conditions, and from the back of the field, down in P20, makes his way up to P8. He's having a stellar Grand Prix so far, is the Red Bull of Tony Rocher, and he's definitely proving his worth here in the Belgian Grand Prix, round number 5 of the season. And we start to get to midway of the season into the European races. Of course, and we've still got about 4 laps to go. Gregory Belatti leaves the session, obviously retired early on, as Jacobo Grillo joins him on the sidelines as well. Very disappointing day for the AlphaTauris. And what has happened there?
Jeremy and Diogo. Jeremy lost a bit the control of his car, it seemed to me, hitting Diogo and making Diogo almost go into the wall. That cost Diogo one position and might cost Jeremy as well, as Lillian is quite close to themselves. Not sure if the driver will have damage or not. One thing I'll tell you, neither of them went to the pit lane.
Nope, definitely not. So seems to be a-okay on the damage front, as they're really close together, about 3/10 almost separating the both of them, as the rain is really hitting hard for the remainder of this race. And I tell you what, Diogo Moraes is in a really good position to try and take in the both of them here, so they can get a good launch up a route, maybe even a little bit of a too good one, as he almost goes into the back of the breath court. He's going to get the slipstream and the ERS on the Red Bull. As he turns to the right hand side, he's going to cause into the slipstream. He just gets sandwiched in between the both of them. He's going to try it around the outside maybe, but there goes Lillian down the inside, almost making contact with the Williams there. Very lucky not to do so. He had a look down that inside, and gap was sort of there, but just closed as he made his way down the inside. Thankfully no contact, and he still remains in P5. Jeremy still remains in P4. Moraes is still in P6 as the battles for P11 start to rage on. Javier Fernandez up into 11th, dispatching of Jerne Dovson as well. Samuel Bean is up into P10 as well, as Jana Kinchi gets past into P9. Tony Rocher as well, now all over the back of the Mercedes, going into P1, and more contact made, and almost Andres Lopez getting hit around by the Red Bull, and has lost that position. And I think Tony probably should be giving that position away. He's sort of pushed himself off the track there. But Tony Rocher, as we've said, not afraid to get his elbows out, but making some pretty interesting moves out there.
But still, when people say that there are decent fights on the rain, they might want to revisit this race, because we have quite a pack full of action tonight, with Stefano Ramaggio now and Oscar Villacampa swapping positions, and quite interesting to see that Jakub with those wet tires seem to be able to keep up with them, even maybe trying to have to brake a bit more to not go into them, while we have the Haas driver going into the pit lane with 2 laps to go. So it's one more position for Jakub up to P14 and Thiago of course up to P15. Interesting to see why probably with damage, no?
Might be
But
there.
still 2 laps to go.
Yeah,
No,
Piers
2
probably
laps to go. What?
soft
Soft
compound
tyres.
tyres for Oscar Villacampa. So obviously not going to be taking this one seriously anymore. Thinks his game is up. We're going to move swiftly over to Chanakinchi, getting past Andreas Lopez for P8, getting the job done. Goes the Alpine, and Andreas Lopez is dispatched in P9, obviously with a penalty as well. So Chanakinchi gets this one on the board and now can try and catch up to Tony Roche in P7. Diogo Moraes is 6th, for Lillian in 5th. Jeremy Glenier is 4th. Jeffrey Ritchie is now, I say in the DRS of Jari van Bassel. Obviously it is deactivated, but now it's 8/10 as Van Bassel just starting to struggle a little bit, obviously on his ERS front, and obviously with the struggling grips of the tyres as well, and just started to lose a little bit of time. Danny Berezne as well, he's now 6/10 up the road, and you can see him struggling so much to try and keep the car in a straight line. And Jeffrey Ritchie is licking his lips here and can smell a P2 on the horizon as they come to Born-Tremont once again into the bus stop chicane. About 4.5 tenths between the two of them to come in towards the right-hander. Lap 20 of 22, which will turn into 21 or 22 on the penultimate lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's been an absolutely sensational one all the way through. It's going to turn into a sensational end, and Danny Berezne is going to be taking full advantage of Ismail Fussi's absence and will take the championship lead going into this one if nothing horrendous happens from here. Just say that, he gets a 3-second time penalty, thankfully. It will not matter so much.
He's safe. Jerry will not be safe though. Jeffrey looks good for that second position at the end of the race, with of course not getting any penalties. So we might have Jeffrey up to second place, but of course it seems at the moment that Jerry will still get his podium on his debut.
Absolutely so, and I must say, Gary Van Bassel has had an absolutely incredible race so far. P4 up into P2, but he's shown his worth with some of his overtaking manoeuvres he's done so far. The maturity he's had has been absolutely fantastic all the way through. Villacampa gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He retires from the session with 1 lap to go, but we'll stick on board with this battle for P2. We can try and see if Jerry will hold on to P2 on track. It won't be on the races. He does have that 3-second time penalty, of course. Yellow flags in sector 1. Someone has lost the car somewhere, but I think they're near down the field anyway. But Jerry Van Bassel trying to keep it in a straight line as best as he can, but you can see on Jeffrey Ritchie's POV, he's so close to the back there of the Mercedes. Javier Fernandez with a 3-second time penalty added to his name as well. Ritchie all over the back of this Mercedes as he wants to have a look down the bus stop chicane just to make it sure it's A-OK. He's going to have a look as Jeffrey Ritchie and Jari Van Bassel braking quite early. I think he was maybe a little bit of a miscommunication between the two. Jari Van Bassel maybe letting him go. Definitely wants the slipstream down the back straight as we move over to the final lap of the Belgian Grand Prix here in the wet. Jari Van Bassel currently in P3. Ritchie up into P2 will be a double Ferrari engine podium. I don't think Van Bassel will get that P2 on track anyway. He's going to have to settle with the P3 so far as he come up towards the Kemmel Straight. It's now or never, but I think he's about 6/10 back. Don't think it will work this time around. But this man here, Danny Berezne, has been absolutely fantastic once again, and even with a little bit of a hindrance in the rain, and he's still got the job done. And his favourite track as well, he's going to get the win. Pole position, fastest lap, and the win. The Grand Chelem will go to Danny Berezne, and the championship lead will go to him as well, as he will take about 26-25 to 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 9, 8, 7, 17-point gap advantage to Ismail Fassi. Going into the next round at the Canadian Grand Prix, we'll take this lap all the way through with Danny Beresne. An absolutely fantastic drive once again, taking 2 rounds out, and Danny Beresne will get the race victory once again and takes 100% win records in all the races he's competed in so far. Bahrain, P1, Miami, P1, and now at the Belgian Grand Prix, he will take the victory once again. Tony Roche with a 3-second time penalty once again. But this man here coming towards 6-3 is Danny Beresne, who's been absolutely fantastic once again as he comes towards the bus stop chicane. 2 rounds off, as we've just mentioned, for F1 Esports duties. He's come to Belgium here in ORL. He rounds the final corner. It's Danny Beresne once again victorious in Belgium. Danny Beresne takes the checker flag and wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Jeffrey Ritchie will take a P2 in his first race in ORL back. Jari van Bassel will take a very, very good podium on debut in P3. Lillian gets P4, and Marias in P5 getting points in his season debut. Jeremy is 6th with Chanakinchi in P7. Tony Roche is 8th after crashing out on the line. Andreas Lopez is 9th. Samuel Bean is P10 as Javier Fernandez's AI smacks into the back of him. He finishes P11 with Jakub Rozetsu in 12th. Ramazio's 13th. Thiago Costa is 14th. For the man of the day goes to Danny Beresne. He is victorious in Belgium.
Yeah, of course, we kind of expected when you consider the track and the driver, the game deciding Tony Roche as the driver of the day. Quite a good last stint for him after the late safety car, going for a new set of intermediates, and I think making it a bit of a difference at the end. The softer compound, the newer compound, sorry, comparing to the cars around them.
Absolutely so. And Danny Beresne makes it 3 out of 3 in the races he's competed in this season. It's another race victory for the man from Hungary, and he takes the top spot once again. Here's your results then. Danny Beresne is your race winner with Jeffrey Ritchie in P2. Jari van Bassel will take a very, very good P3 on debut from 5th on the grid. Lillian is 4th with Diogo Marias in 5th. Jeremy Glinier is 6th with Chanakinchi in P7. Tony Roche is 8th with Andreas Lopez in P9. Samuel Bean is 10th. Javier Fernandez in 11th, and Jakub Rozetsu is P12. Stefano Ramazio having a really tough Grand Prix out there is 13th. Thiago Costa is 14th, and Robbie Vine is 15th, and Yoni Dovson is 16th. And we lost Oscar Villacampa, Nelson Alves, Jacobo Grillo, and Gregory Balatti in that one. What an absolutely fantastic race we've been treated to so far. If we can get any interviews, hopefully we can do as well. But what an absolutely incredible race we've been treated to all the way through, and it's ended with another Danny Beresne victory.
Interesting to see how will Ismail answer hopefully next week when he returns. Well, not sure if it will be next week, but on the next round, how he will answer to this victory from Danny Beresne. They had a very interesting fight back in Miami. Last time both of them were on track, of course. So this championship might be having an end that we might not have been expecting at the beginning, but has been proving himself as one who wants to give to bring the battle up to Danny Beresne.
Absolutely so, and obviously that 17-point advantage now going to Danny Beresne after this one. Ismail Fassi not here tonight. He's going to have to work incredibly hard next time at the Canadian Grand Prix, of course, which is where we will be at next time. Not sure if it will be next week. Obviously, next week is Christmas Day, of course, so that will be racing next week. So maybe next week or, 2 weeks' time, whenever we get to race again, that is where we will be. We are joined now by Jeffrey Ritchie as he comes into the box for us now. Jeffrey, it's P2 for you coming back in ORL. Tell us how that felt for you. That must be a very, very good feeling.
I was a bit surprised of my pace as well, and I think it was all right. Especially in the wet, it wasn't bad. just made the wrong strategy call, pitting 1 lap late. Lost me a couple positions, but actually throughout, like after the safety car, I managed to get those positions back just on raw pace. So I'm pretty happy with the result. Also not getting any penalties, so pretty happy.
Absolutely. Obviously, no penalties really was the game. That one, obviously, battling hard with Van Bassel at the end of that one. Just talk us through those battles near the end. Was it a pretty tight one all the way through?
I mean, I was just pushing the whole time. I think with the first Jeremy, it was a bit difficult. I think the first time I tried to overtake him, I went a bit deep and he re-overtook me. But second time I managed to brake at the right point and just parked on the apex and made it stick. And the final overtake, I think because he had a penalty, he might have let me through because I was pressuring him quite a lot, and I think he was just happy taking the P3.
Absolutely. Well, Canada next time for you. Are you confident for that one as well? Do you think you can still keep that podium going?
I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea what was the next trick you said?
It's Canada next time.
Canada. I mean, I don't know if I'll be driving. It's just reserve this time. So, I mean, if I can keep the no penalty streak up, like every time I do Canada, I just get no pens, and everybody around me is like 9 seconds. So, just on that alone, like not really pace, but just getting no pens, I think I can maybe score some good points. I don't know if it will be a podium, but my pace is all right. It can get me podiums for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we'll let you go. Well done once again, Jeffrey, on a very, very good podium, and good luck for the rest of the season.
GG's.
Absolutely. That was Jeffrey Rich. You are now joined by the race winner once again, Danny Beresny. Danny, it's another race win for you, and it's a race win in every race you've competed in so far in ORL. That's got to be a pretty decent feeling.
Yeah, this is my favorite circuit, but I just came home from Switzerland today, so I am honestly really, really tired, so I was happy with this condition.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, coming back from F1 Esports.
I also made the best strategy call. I also made the the worst strategy call possible, but the safety car really helped me out. And then Jeffrey, yeah, he made a mistake in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, it keeps. Sorry, it was cutting in and out all the way through there. I didn't know when you were talking or not. That's probably on my end. But yes, another race victory for you again. Going into Canada next week, you confident you can try and get that race victory going?
So if there is a track where I am the least confident on, it's Canada probably. I absolutely hate that circuit. I know it's many guys' favorite. The corner cutting will be really not enjoyable, but obviously I will put in some good practice, and I will improve as a person there. So that's the goal of league racing, to really keep yourself in shape every single week. So I love doing that.
Absolutely. Ismail Fassilsi not here tonight. You now have that 17-point advantage at the top. Do you think it'll be a decent fight for you near the towards the end with you and Ismail?
Yes, the fight is definitely within one race win all the time in the first 5 runs of the championship, so it's considered to be close, but I will try my best to make it the most boring possible.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again on a race victory, and good luck for the rest of the season, Danny.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. That was Danny Beresny once again speaking to us, and obviously always charming as possible as well. But that has been the end of this one here in ORL. Thank you all very, very much for watching again. We'll just tune you in to the next couple of rounds coming your way. We'll have a look on the calendar for you now. Belgium, we've just had. Canadian Grand Prix is next time. Obviously, the dates are a little bit incorrect. We will see you whenever we can at Canada. Probably will not be next week, as we'll let you enjoy your Christmas day. British Grand Prix at Silverstone next time after Canada. And then we're into the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. The Australian Grand Prix will set the penultimate round, and Abu Dhabi will be the season finale. And if we get that far, we could be with an interesting battle between Dani Berezne and Ismail Fassi. We never know. But thank you all very much for watching. Once again, Dani Berezne is your race winner once again for the third time this season. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you very, very soon for the Canadian Grand Prix. Take care and good night.
I'm crazy, Captain.